Life Uncensored, navigating adulthood one episode at a time. Tune into our latest episode.
Welcome back, everyone, to Life Uncensored, navigating adulthood one episode at a time. I am your host, Amanda Lockhart Davis, and we have a great conversation today with a very lovely lady who will be joining the Life Uncensored family after today. This episode is very near and dear to my heart as I have dealt with the loss of a mother and a father as well. And we've titled this episode Holding It Together While Grieving, an Oldest Daughter's Story. This episode is for anyone who is grieving, has grieved, knows someone who is grieving, and anyone who just wants to understand that they are not alone out there in these streets as it pertains to grief. So, riding shotgun today as we navigate adulthood is Rakita Lillard-Brown. She is a phenomenal woman. She's the founder of Holistry and a transformational experience curator who believes life's sweetness and sorrow can coexist. After losing her mother, she began documenting the sacred, messy process of healing, a journey that reshaped how she leads, loves, and lives, and it inspired her forthcoming reflections, 365 Days Without You. Through her work and storytelling, she invites others to honor their grief while still building a life rooted in purpose, faith, and joy. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to our stage Miss Rakita Lillard-Brown.
Oh, that was beautiful.
There you go, girl. Hey, girl.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you so much for joining today. I am very excited about this episode. I feel like it'll even be cathartic for me, just talking about it, because as I mentioned, I too have lost a mother and a father. So I know what it is like to go through life without your parents. And so I think this is going to be a great conversation to hear about your journey and what it has inspired in you and how you've been navigating life without your mom. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. You are the oldest, right?
I am the oldest. I'm the oldest of three girls.
Yeah. And see, I'm the youngest of three girls, right? So I'm on the other end of the spectrum. So, okay. So you lost your mother and you stepped into a very different season. I imagine it was just very different for you, stepping into that season of life. And as the oldest daughter, did you feel some sort of immediate shift in responsibility? Like, okay, well, now I'm at the front of the line, or you know what I mean? Something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. The short answer is yes. The longer answer is my mom was actually really sick well before her transition. So it took about a full year and a half, I say, for her to fully power down and move over. And so that role kind of shifted long before the actual event itself.
Got you. Okay. You were already moving into it.
Yeah, I was already moving into it. I even had a conversation with someone right at the beginning of it all. And we were talking about moving into that matriarch status. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I didn't sign up for that. Like, no,
right. Who, me?
Yeah. I was like, no, somebody else. Get somebody else to do it. That's not anything that I want to do. My mom had gotten sick when I was 27. Actually, I'm 42 now. So the trajectory of how that changed over time, the roles changing. She had her first heart attack when I was 27, and at that point, she was completely different, right? Like, and so the roles had changed of parent, daughter, legal guardian kind of thing. So I've had some time to build up with that.
Gotcha.
But I will say, and I haven't told many people this, is that the week of her transition, or maybe the day before, or 48 hours, who knows? With grief, all time
is just different.
blends together,
It is.
right?
It
But
is.
something really happened. I remember sitting next to her. She wasn't, at that point, she wasn't really coherent, but I felt this energy to like get things together.
Okay.
It happened so quickly. I was watching TV, checking on her. I was doing a little latch hook thing to keep me busy. And I immediately had this thought of, I need to start calling people. And so it was like just gearing up, right? And so I had the list. I was calling people like, hey, you might want to come now. Do you want to do this, checking paperwork. I mean, it just was like this, almost like when you're cleaning up, right? Like it was that burst of energy. So
Gotcha.
It was very noticeable. And so that's kind of when I knew that for sure that it was time. It's almost like when women have babies, right? Like that, like nesting.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And so, yeah, I felt that immediate, like, I'm gonna rally the last bit of energy I have and just get things together, get things in order. And to be clear, even as the oldest daughter, right? Like no one actually says this is your job, right? Like they never really say that. But there's something that happens automatically that just, it's like self-appointment to a fault, honestly. Like, later, my therapist, which everyone should have a therapist, especially during a grieving time. But she asked me that question. She said, who gave you that title?
Right. And you couldn't answer it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. But yeah.
It's funny. Me and my sisters, have had conversations about everything surrounding and leading up to my mother's passing. And again, I'm the youngest. And I think we all were watching the exact same movie. Let me rephrase that. I know we all were watching the exact same movie, but I think we all were looking at it and experiencing it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So my oldest sister had turned, the year my mother died, she turned 50 in August. And right after her birthday, like I'm talking a day or two after her birthday, something wasn't right. My sister called and was like, we'll take him out to the hospital. Something's not right, blah, blah, blah. And I knew in that moment, literally that moment I hung up with her. I was like, okay. And I made a decision. I'm going to have to grieve her now because when the time actually comes, my sisters, I need to be strong for my sisters. I need to be able to handle business and do things because my sisters are going to take it so hard. So I literally made that very conscious decision. So I literally grieved my mother for a month. She passed a month later. So I grieved her before she passed. And just as I thought, or I felt at the time, I'll say it that way, when she passed, I was the one like even killed, like, no, that's, and letting them experience the grief because I had already did it, so to speak. I had started my process already. So it was a little bit, not easier, but easier for me at the moment when it happened.
Yep.
So to your point, nobody assigned that to me. Mm-hmm. I just took it upon myself. Now, if you talk to my sisters, I guarantee you they'll say they too did some form of that in their own way. Right? Because we all just, and it's always, you talk to friends and other family members and they go, oh yeah, because your sisters are worried about you. And it's each person is saying that to the other sisters about the one sister, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm sure, did you experience that sort of thing too?
Yeah, I did. I think I had to keep reminding myself, and this is across the board, that everyone was experiencing my mom's passing in their own storyline, right?
Yeah.
Which is very different. And so that was really hard to do, because there were moments that I would get really frustrated, like, why aren't you doing this, right? Like the things you think you're supposed to do as the brother, as the sister, as the, you know what I mean? As the
Sure.
aunt, the siblings of my mom. But then I had to step back and remind myself that, we were all experiencing the same thing, right? But through our own lenses.
Differently. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was a really hard thing to do. But once I kind of accepted that, it made the process a little easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's something that happens when people transition, especially a parent. And I also think it's about proximity, right? Like, I was right there till almost the end. So I saw different things, right? Like, I'm the first point of contact. I'm the one to watch her breathing, to watch the body power down. And then you have my sisters, right? Each one in different locations, each one also different ages, different life experiences. I think we all just experience it differently.
It makes a difference.
Yeah, but it doesn't take away, right? Like,
nope.
Everyone at the end of the day, we were all grieving, just differently. No right or wrong, just differently. And so that was a really interesting, I guess I could call it a lesson. Sure. to learn, because it also just affects, how you move throughout the world and how you operate with people.
It absolutely does.
Moving forward.
I have often said, losing a parent changes the landscape of time, but losing your mama changes how you see the world. It changes you as a person. It changes how you interact with the world. Losing your mama is a different kind of something. And very frankly, it don't matter if you were close with your mom, not close with your mom, whatever. Losing your mama changes you as a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's different.
Yeah, I had this conversation with a really dear friend who I grew up with. Her mom was my guidance counselor, and so when she passed, I felt it, right? And we've had this conversation, and one of the things she said to me that I'll never forget, she said, when your mother passes, you look at time, love differently, right? Because your mother is your first everything. She's your first place that you live. She's your first sound, your taste, your smell. She is all of those things. And you are always connected, even if you're not close, right? Like, once you were born, you could not have a great relationship, right? Like, you could be estranged, you could be really close. It doesn't matter. You will feel it.
Yes. In one form or other.
Yeah, you will absolutely feel it. I think with my mom, the shocking piece for me was I felt the absence of her presence. I didn't realize how much space she took up in a room or my life until it was not there. And that's not a bad. I'm not saying it in a bad way. But it was like, oh wow, there's so much empty room.
Well, it goes along with the principle of you can't enjoy the sun without the rain. You didn't realize how much you missed the sun until it rained for 10 days straight.
Yep.
Even though the sun might have been getting on your nerves because it was real hot.
Right.
You actually appreciated that sun. It's the same principle, obviously on a deeper level, but it's the same principle. Yeah. So what you're saying makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So you've been known to describe your grief as both sacred and messy,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So what were some of those moments during that first year that really captured that reality for you?
Ooh. So a part of the work that I do is around spirituality and a lot of ancestral healing, veneration, and so that's the sacred piece that I mean when I refer to that. I always tell people that I'm not super religious, but I'm very spiritual, and I
Okay.
understand that side of it. And so, in that sense, it was really sacred. It was really important for me to make sure my mom had everything she needed on the spiritual side, to
Hmm.
make sure that things were in place, make sure that our lineage had what it needed to be well fed on that side so that we could be well fed on this side. That was
Hmm.
really important to me. So that's the sacred piece of it. The messy side of that is, you are still you're managing yourself internally and the external world around you, because the world doesn't stop because your mom died, right? And so there were times that some of my relationships did suffer a little bit, right? Because I
Hmm.
just didn't
Hmm.
have the capacity to care as much, which sounds bad, but I just did not have it in me. I'd been caring for my mother for over a year leading up to it. And then that year that she was gone, it was an adjustment, right? Like I'm adjusting to no longer having to make the drive every week, no longer having to talk to people about all things medical, all of those things, like the phone ringing, right? Picking up the phone to answer, and like, is it the hospital? Is it the doctor? Is it like I'm adjusting. So that piece was a little messy, right? Because I'm trying to, I think in the beginning I kept trying to say, I'm just trying to get back to me. But that's impossible, right? Because me is not me anymore.
Yeah, that me is gone.
Yeah, that me is gone. And so I
Hmm.
had to get to a point where I was like, wait a minute, I should stop saying this, because like I don't even know who that is.
Yes, yes,
Right?
that's so true.
So that was the messy part of it, of like, I'm trying, how do I honor myself, and also, I'm married, honor my marriage,
Yeah.
pour into that. I also have two sisters who are also grieving. I am the
Mhm.
oldest. I'm trying to like be there for them, but also step out. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it got a little messy, which is why, again, I said, like, I think everyone should have a therapist in their life, especially during grieving moments, because you need someone outside of all of it that has the language and the expertise to help you navigate what is
Hmm.
happening.
Hmm. Absolutely. I think that's the biggest part of it. You said, it sounds bad to say, but I just didn't have the energy. But it's not, right? You don't have the mental energy or capacity. You don't have the emotional energy or capacity, and you don't have the physical
Mhm.
energy or capacity. And very frankly, as someone who's been there, done that twice over, there's nothing wrong with saying that, because it is very draining, just the thought of it, because now you're filled with all the memories and all the what ifs and all the I wish I could have, or I wish I still could. You're all of those things, you're trying to navigate that. And like I said earlier, it changes you as a person. So now you're learning who you are now.
Mhm.
Who am I without my mama in my life? Who
Yeah.
am I now? um, it's it's a process that happens whether you want it to or not.
Yeah.
There's no navigating around that.
Yeah. And an even deeper thing that was really alarming, or maybe not alarming, it's not the right word, but it was the who am I without her, but and also not but and all of the things that I thought were important and that I really wanted out of life.
Woo!
I was like, do I really want these things? Or were these things that, I might have saw my mom do or not do? And so then now I'm like, I gotta do these things. And so I was really scared because I was like, a lot of the work that I do, a lot of who I am, when I really looked at it, I was like, wow, like, is this really who I am? Or is this who I've been told I'm supposed to be? Is this influence from my mom, from everything? So that was also messy. It was like, oh my God,
That
what
makes
if?
sense.
Because what if I'm not, right? Like, what if I'm
Right.
not that person?
Right.
What if all of the things that I have been working towards are actually things I don't want?
Right. Right.
So yeah, that was a little
Or
messy.
if it was conditional,
Hmm.
subconsciously conditional, like I only wanted them for her,
Yep. Hmm.
whether she knew it or not.
Yep.
Yeah, no, very much so. I think, and I think that's such a good thing to say out loud because as you're learning who the new you is, um, that is also a piece of that process.
Mhm.
All the things around you that you have been striving for, all the things that were important to you that you cared about, do you still care about them on the same level or at all
Yep.
for the same reasons?
Hmm.
Um, there's just so many things that just change in terms of your mindset when you go through that kind of grief.
Yeah.
It really does.
Absolutely.
So you talked about how you began documenting your journey, right?
Hmm.
And through this grief process, the reflections that you called your 365 days without you, what made you decide to start journaling that and putting that pain into words on paper? Where did
Yeah.
that come from?
I'm a writer, so like I am a creative. It is a lot of my work is rooted in my life. Um, and I had a friend who had suggested I start talking about my experience with my mom, and at the time
Hmm.
I was like, no, because the world already gets a lot of who I am. So that
Hmm.
also was a part of that, like, who am I piece of like, do I really need to share all that I share? Do people even really care? Right. And so when that was suggested to me, I wasn't ready to hear it. I wasn't ready to receive it because I was
Yeah.
like, this is a part of my journey that I do not want the world to know.
Gotcha.
But I'm also, again, spiritual and I'm very faith led. And so when I get that whisper in my ear, I follow. And that's actually how it starts. The first page is 11:59 a.m. at night because it was in the middle of the night and I was crying for whatever reason. I never felt my grief during the day. I always felt it right when I was going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
I remember crying and I remember thinking, like, one, why is it always at night? It's because this is the time I don't have nothing to do, right? So I
Yeah,
don't have
your mind is not
nothing to do.
busy.
But also I heard it's time to write. And um I think that my mom's story through my eyes and how it ties to grief and moving with on without her is really important to share. Now, when I'm going to share it, I don't know because, right, I'm a writer and I'm sensitive about my stuff. And every time I read it, I'm like, it's not ready. And I think that, I think I'll add some things to it and tweak it a little bit.
Sure.
But
Sure.
it was one of those feelings of like, it's time to start writing it. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe I won't share it with the world. Maybe I will share it with my children or my sisters or someone who I think could really benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the world. I'll wait to hear what that is.
Yeah.
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 So your work with holistry,
Hmm.
how does that pair with your personal grief? Like, how did it shape the work that you're doing
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. So the work I do is always centered around Black women and our experiences in life. Right. And um, I think that I do a really great job. The way that I curate spaces is really from a space of what I would have loved at that stage of my life, right?
Mm.
So the pieces that I think were missing that did not happen. I made a commitment, probably not unknowingly. I made that commitment years ago that I always want to create these spaces for Black women to get what they need. And so that every time I have something happen in my life, I'm always like, ooh, I would have liked to have this, right? Or I would have liked
Mm-hmm.
to be displayed in this way.
Yep. Yep.
And so that's how it carries into my life. I think the biggest thing was our last retreat happened the year after my mom passed, because the year before when we had the retreat was when she had, the day we had the retreat was the day she went into the hospital.
My gosh. Mm.
And so that was a lesson, because I had to learn how to operate a business and be on for an event while knowing in the back of my mind that my mom is on the way to to the hospital right now. I have no idea what's going on. I have to trust and move forward. The year after, when we had the retreat, the women surrounded me and they
Mm-hmm.
loved me, and it was such a beautiful thing, because again, right, I said earlier, I said I never know if like people care what I write about, what I do. I don't know if it matters, but that was proof that it did, because these women didn't really have, they don't know me, they know me, but they're not family, they're not directly
Right.
connected, but they decided without any encouragement that they were going to take moments of the retreat to pour back into me.
Mm.
And that was
Mm.
confirmation that this is why I do what I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the women in the spaces who didn't realize that the community is available to them. And look what happens when you just kind of allow yourself to be in that space. If it can happen to me,
Yeah.
the leader of the space,
Yeah.
my God, what, look, imagine, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how it carries over. I let the way that I see people, and specifically Black women, I let that influence spaces that we create.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's such an important thing that we have spaces to just be who we are, where we don't have to be on, right? All the time, every time,
Yeah.
and feel comfortable in that. And having that support around you, that you don't have to be on. If you feel like you have to be on, that's a you thing,
Yeah.
right? But being surrounded by people who don't care if you're not,
Yep.
that's so important to have. I feel like I know at my mom's funeral, I I spoke at the funeral, and as I was standing there and I was looking at everyone who came, it filled my heart. People who I haven't seen or heard from in years, they were there, and they had stories of what Miss Tony did, or a funny story about Miss Tony. Oh, well, yeah, I remember that time Miss Tony came up to the school. She had that red leather coat on, you know, things like that. Um, but having that village, even though we don't talk every day, see each other all the time, blah, 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 having that village show up at a time like that for me and my sisters and my kids and my nephews and nieces, all the people that she just loved and loved her back, having that village it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming, and it also made me proud. It made me appreciate her legacy that much more.
Hmm.
That just because it's people aren't shouting it from the mountaintops every day, and she's not on every meme that you see every time you get on the internet. This is how much she was loved. Like, that legacy was so touching. So what you're saying, as far as like these women, you came back next year, these women knew what you had gone through and they loved up on you, no questions asked, no prompting.
Hmm.
That says a lot about your legacy, what you've meant to them. So I don't want that to go unmentioned here. You know what I mean? I want that to be like, that says something about you as a person, Rakita. It does.
Thank you. Oh, no, don't get me teary eyed, okay? Don't get me.
This is Life Uncensored, okay? This is Life Uncensored. This is a safe space. I want to talk a little bit, we touched a little bit. You had mentioned, I'm married, I got friends, I got family, I got blah blah. Do you feel like there were any direct, tangible changes in your marriage, in your relationships with your sisters, aunts and uncles that you have, who lost their sister? Do you feel like there was any tangible change
Oh,
after she left here and said her final goodbyes?
yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest, most beautiful one was with me and my sisters.
Mm.
You know, we haven't always been close.
Okay.
Life, divorce, growing up, we're all very different. I mean, I think there's like a 5 to 10 year age gap between
Okay.
us. So it's a pretty big gap. But when my mom got sick, um, watching them take control of the things that they could, right? Like, I'm going to do this without me having to ask or be like, or, that was really beautiful to see. And I think I also, and maybe this is common, right? But I think every child thinks that their relationship with their parent is like sibling wise, right? Like, no, I was the favorite, or we had our own thing, right? Every child thinks that with their parent relationship, right? Like it's unique, and it is unique. But what I realized watching them is how their relationships with my mother shaped who they are. And for us to be able to come together and talk about it and experience it together, but in different ways, I just thought was such a beautiful thing. One of my sisters has 3 children, and I watched her be a mother and also grieve her mother. And it was so heartbreaking, but also really beautiful, because I was like, your children are, oh my God, they're amazing children. They're kind, they're sweet, they're polite. Like you are a great mother. And so that was the tangible piece for me, is seeing them not as just my little sisters, but as women, right? Because they are women, right? And some of the things they tell me, I'm like, oh my God. But also, we grown, so got it, right?
I'm laughing because I think my oldest sister, I think she's only like just now, like a couple of years ago, coming to grips with, oh, I guess they are grown ups, huh?
Yeah. And so it's an interesting thing to place to be, but I think that was the best piece, and that's important to say, because that is really that was my mother's biggest dream, right? Is that her daughters have relationships with each other, love each other, support each other, celebrate each other in a very beautiful way. And I'm really proud that we have been able to do that, and when I think about my mom, and I'm just like, all of the things that have happened to her in her life, her biggest, greatest accomplishment, I know she would tell you, is her daughters. And I'm just like, Mom, like, look at us. You did well, even though I know she thinks that she didn't do well, right? Because I think that mothers do that, right? Like,
as a parent, you always second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth guess yourself. You always feel like, I could have done more. I could have did that different, or this different, or it's one of those things.
Yeah,
it's a gift and a curse.
So I'm just really proud. That's the tangible piece. That's my favorite proof. It's proof that she did well.
And that's got to be a very beautiful feeling, even for them, as your sisters, thinking about it. I feel like each one, because like you, me and my sisters are far apart in age. My middle sister is 6-7 years older than me, and my oldest sister is 12-13 years older than me. So there's that time in life where none of you have nothing in common. So you're kind of like, you stay over there and I'm gonna stay over here. And then eventually everybody becomes an adult, and marriages, kids, work, all the things. So now you have things back in common, and you get closer. But I too, like with what you're saying, I feel like when my mother was first diagnosed with cancer years ago, there was no Everything was seamless. Okay. All right. So let's coordinate schedules. Okay. I can be there for this appointment. Okay, cool. I'll be there for this appointment. Oh, I have a meeting this day, so I won't be able to do this one. Can you do it? Yep, sure. Can. And it just happened. There was no discussion about it. It just
Yeah.
fell into place. And I can remember at the end at one point, and I hadn't remembered, and it could just be because I am the youngest, but I hadn't remembered hearing this before. But I remember my mom saying, "Where are my girls? I want my
Mhm.
girls." She wanted all of us together with her at the same time, because we would just take shifts. And then when we all were able to get together at the same time with her, obviously we were, but but when she said it out loud, my mother wasn't the type of woman who had many demands, if any.
Mhm.
She wasn't that kind of woman. So when she said something that she wanted, you made it happen. You figured that crap out.
Yeah.
And please understand, I take somebody out of here for my sisters. I would have before any of this, right? But I don't, and I would say they would say the same thing. But I don't think any of us, I'll say, verbalized it. I don't
Mhm.
know. Like it would happen. But now it's more than an understanding.
Yeah.
It is a feeling. I will
Mhm.
take somebody out of here for one of my sisters
Mhm.
and be happy to do so.
Yep.
It's a
No
closeness
second
that
guessing.
happens. It's the closeness that it's something about that brings you even closer together.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
just
love
can't even imagine what it would have been like. Because I know, I have a friend who's an only child and she lost her
that.
mother.
Mhm.
She didn't have what I had,
Mhm.
siblings to share that story with.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. I could not, I couldn't fathom it.
No. No. That's crazy. Yeah.
It's so,
Yeah.
so crazy. What would you say one of the lessons is that your mother left you with? If you can say this was the number one top lesson she left me with that you hold on to right now to this day, what would it be?
To dance more. Honestly, to dance more.
Really?
Yeah. My
Why
mom,
is that?
she, so her favorite song was that Jill Scott song, Living or Golden.
Uh-huh.
And it didn't matter where you are, what you're doing. She loved to dance. And when I say to dance more, I think what I really mean is like to just enjoy life, right?
Hmm.
Like life is hard. There are beautiful moments in it, absolutely, but it is complex and it's hard. And even in that, there's some beautiful things, but I think sometimes we forget that because we're in the hard.
Yeah,
But my,
absolutely.
but my mom, and this is a woman who has had 3 strokes, heart attack, who had gone from being on life support to not being on it, to having to learn how to do everything again,
My
to
God.
then losing her ability to do things again,
Mm.
to being bedridden, to not being able to talk, and still, right? You would walk into her room and she would be music blasting, moving the parts that she could move, right? Like the body is such an amazing thing. The mind is such an amazing thing. My mom would remember lyrics to songs, but couldn't remember other things, right? So it was like
Yes.
you would walk in and she would be singing, and I'm like, what are you doing, right? And so it was that piece of like, wow, right? Like
Mm.
you cannot do anything for yourself right now. You can't walk. You are completely dependent. But if you turn some music on, she's
Yeah.
going to move her head and dance as best as she can. She's going to smile. She's going to greet you when you come in the insurmountable pain that I know that her body was in.
Mm.
Didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my lesson of like, man, like life is hard. But please believe that if you get a moment to listen to the music, to
Yeah.
smile, to move a little bit, do it.
Mm-hmm. She sounds like my kind of woman. Me and her would
Yes,
have got along.
yes.
Me and her would have got along. Because I listen, I have no shame. Okay,
Mhm.
very very little embarrasses me. Let me be in the grocery store and my jam come on from Janet Jackson Control come on from the. I be in there. You think I was a backup dancer? I don't care who watching. And I'm singing loud.
Mhm.
Can't carry a note. I don't care.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, that,
me and her, we'd have been besties.
yeah. Dancing everywhere. It would drive me nuts. I would be like, Mom, turn this. Your roommate does not want to hear this. Like, I'm coming down. I can hear your music coming down the hospital hallway. Like, what are you doing? So it just every nurse loved her. Like it would be like, oh, your mom, she's so friendly. And so that just yeah.
Legacy, legacy. She,
Yeah.
even in her pain, she was making other people happy. She was bringing
Yep.
other people joy.
Yep.
That's amazing, and that's a great story to be able to tell.
Yeah.
That's a great story to be able to tell.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of daughters, sons too. We're not gonna discriminate on the men, but the oldest specifically, right, of the family who may be grieving a parent right now. Listen, my father left here when I was pregnant with my middle son.
Mm.
He will be 24 this year. My dad's been gone 23 years, going on 24 years.
Oof.
And there are still times when something good happens to me. I go to call and it's like,
Oh.
oh,
Mhm.
and I realize it all over again.
Yep.
Same thing with my mom. I just, something happens and I want to, oh my gosh, mom, she would laugh at this. Let me, oh, right. And you realize it all over again and you go through that process all over again. And I always tell people grieving, people say, time heals all wounds. Kind of. But with that kind of grief, it doesn't go away. It gets easier to deal with. It
Mhm.
gets easier to bear. It gets easier to predict.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't go away. So for that oldest child, son or daughter, who's grieving a parent right now and trying to just hold it together, what would you want them to know?
I would tell them don't hold it together. Honestly, that makes it worse.
Yes.
It makes it worse because it when you it's like bottling up, right? Like you stuffing more things into this bottle that there's no room. It is going to explode at some point. And so you have to give yourself grace,
Mm-hmm.
right? And honestly, if you need to take a moment, right, do that. Because
Mm-hmm.
that you're right, grief never goes away. I don't really know about the healing piece, right? You're right. Like I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
But when the more you allow it to just flow through you because it is also an emotion piece, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
just let it flow through you, and sometimes that's hard, especially as an oldest, because you're used to being in control, you're used to that, right? Just listen, come undone, please, if you can come undone.
Well, yeah, because if you don't now, then when it comes later, when you can't control it, it's going to be that much worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. It's okay to not be able to hold it all together. It's okay. And very frankly, whoever around you doesn't understand that doesn't deserve to be around you,
Yeah,
work or personal life,
yeah.
just period. And there's something to say about you don't really understand because you've never been through that, this kind of thing. And that might be true to an extent, but everyone has a compassion button inside of them. Everyone. Everyone has an empathy button inside of them. So even if you don't understand wholeheartedly, fully, you've never experienced whatever the situation, you get it.
Yeah.
You get it.
You've been hurt from something before.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely.
I think the other important thing here, right? I think we do need to say more when someone says, like, how are you doing? I think you need to make it more common to say, you know what, I'm not doing well.
It's a rough day.
It's a rough day. It's a rough moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more that we say that, the more people can get comfortable with hearing that.
Mm.
I think that's also a part of it, right? Like the world needs to see and hear people being courageous enough to be like, I am not doing well right now. I am losing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and it doesn't mean you have to fix it. It doesn't mean you need to adjust what you're doing. I just want to acknowledge that.
Absolutely. And be okay with acknowledging it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I as we get ready to close out this conversation, I want to say, and I want to get your thoughts on it as well, that one of the things that you have to come to grips with when losing anybody in your life, honestly, but specifically a parent, as it pertains to this episode, is that life goes on for everyone else. So in the beginning, yeah, you're getting the calls and the messages. You're getting the people stopping by, bringing food and cards. Maybe that first holiday without them, that first Mother's Day, Father's Day, that first birthday, whatever. You're getting the, hey, was thinking about you. I know this is your first without,
Mm-hmm.
But eventually that tapers off. You still live with it every day, every holiday, every whatever. But for others, it tapers off. Not because they don't care. It's definitely not that. It's just out of sight, out of mind because they're not in it. It's not their experience, right? It's no different than seeing somebody stub their toe on the end of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you know that hurt because you've done it yourself. Ooh, but it doesn't hurt you. So it's not innate to continue to check up on that stubbed toe. I'm the one living with the pain because I did it. You know what I mean? And I think that it's important to point that out because sometimes for some people, you feel resentment
Mm-hmm.
that nobody's continuing to check up or check in. Oh, y'all were here for that 1 week after the funeral. Where are you at now? I think
Mm-hmm.
people, and I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying
Right.
it's a reality of the situation.
Yeah.
To feel that way and for those folks to taper off with the checking up. And that's my thoughts on it, but I definitely want to hear what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, I agree. It also ties into what I was saying earlier about people's proximity, right?
Yeah.
And they're going through their own grief in their own way, and everybody is going to be different. It's going to be really intense for some, light for others. There's no right or wrong. And I think that when we can remember that it makes it a little bit easier that, oh, okay, I know that, John is not going to call me this year. And honestly, that it is an assumption, right? That I'm assuming that 5 years later, because John didn't call me, he's not thinking about the fact that my mama died.
Mm-hmm.
That's an assumption.
That's an assumption.
I don't know what John doing. Sorry, if anyone named John is watching this is not for you, okay? I say that to say, I think that when we can remember that, right? Like people are so layered and complicated and multifaceted, right? Like we can do two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's that doesn't lessen your grief or the value your mother had or the person who transitioned had in the world or their lives. It is just, this is life, right? Like it moves, it's gonna move one way or the other. And so I think that if we can find a way to remember that in those moments when we're a little angry or resentful because someone didn't do something that you wanted them to do, you could also call John yourself and be like, John,
it's been rough.
It's been rough. I would have loved for you to call me or check in, right? Like it's also a two-way thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
it takes a bit of maturity and understanding to be okay with that.
Yeah.
From both
absolutely.
sides. Again, from both sides. I'm not saying either side is right or wrong. It just is what it is. It just is what it is.
Yep. And it is a work in progress. Listen, I feel like that today. And if you ask me that tomorrow, my answer might be different.
I mean, come on, Rakita, at least give us 2 or 3 day cushion.
2 or 3 days. You never know. With the world as it is, listen, you never know, right? So again, work in progress. That's why I have a therapist.
Yes, yes,
Today, I'm
yes.
in a good space.
I love it. I freaking love it. Rakita, it has been really great talking to you about this subject. And I appreciate you being open and transparent and sharing your story and your journey. I think there are people who are new to this. There are people whose mama left here decades ago and it still is affecting them in some form of fashion. This conversation may help them.
Yeah,
Um,
for having me.
so I appreciate you just sharing your side of the story, right? Because we all experience it from, like we said, different viewpoints. We are all watching the same movie, but we're experiencing it very differently.
Mhm.
Um, I want you to talk to the audience about how they can stay in contact with you or stay updated with any upcoming engagements that you have, where they
Yeah,
can look for you.
I love that. Okay, so the best way is to subscribe to our mailing list. Honestly, that is on our website hollistree.com. You can subscribe there, or you can subscribe to, if you like stories like this, our Substack called Turning Sour into Sweet. It is where I share more stories, some pages from 365 Days Without You as well. I
Okay.
think those are the two best ways to stay connected.
Okay. Hollistree.com. That's right down there, right?
That's
Scrolling at
perfect.
the bottom of your
Absolutely.
screen if you're watching. If
Yep.
you're listening, Hollistry, HOLISTREE.com.
Yep.
Scrolling at your bottom of your screen.
Yeah.
Check it
Thank
out. Subscribe. Do all the things. Before I let you go, Rakita, tell our audience either your greatest joy or your favorite quote and why it's your favorite quote.
That is a good one. I don't know if I have a favorite quote because, it changes all the time. But my greatest joy, honestly, I live a really beautiful, sweet life. The hard and the sour and the sweet is all in one. And I'm just really grateful for that. Like the ability to appreciate that even when it's hard. Mm,
Hmm. That's
I'm really proud
amazing.
of
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Rakita.
that.
Ladies and gentlemen, our honored guest today, Miss Rakita Lillard-Brown. I'm so glad she was able to join us, and I'm so glad that you came. Thank you so, so much. I'm going to ask you to sit tight with my close out the show. Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rakita. You are now officially part of the Life Uncensored family. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Miss Rakita Lillard-Brown. She's an amazing inspiration. She has some really good gems to drop. I hope you will listen. Share this with anybody you know who's going through grief, who's been through this, and could use that little extra bit of encouragement. We talked about grief today and what it's like to go through it in her situation as an oldest daughter. But there's those of us out here who are only children and we have to go through it alone. Not all of us have the what I'll call the sweetness of being able to grieve with someone who's constantly there for you. So if you are grieving, please take a note out of Rakita's book. Go see someone. That's what therapists are trained for, to help you through your grief. There's grief counseling in churches, there's grief counseling through therapy sessions. There are some areas where you can get that service for free. Go look into it. All right? It's part of your mental health. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share, follow, ring that bell. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, everyone, all right, to come and join in on the fun and conversations with Life Uncensored, navigating adulthood, one episode at a time. The quote for today, which I believe is quite fitting, is from Queen Elizabeth II. Grief is the price we pay for love. All right, ladies and gentlemen, until we meet again, stay hydrated, stay well, and do something kind for someone. You never know. You might change the world.
Life Uncensored, navigating adulthood one episode at a time. We're available on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can also check us out on our website, life-uncensored.com. Come on over and see what you've been missing.